Hello friends, welcome. Friends, today I am planning to do a tutorial video. Now friends, the reason I am doing this tutorial video is that some among you have requested that I do a tutorial video to demonstrate how the whole visualization that I show in my videos are prepared from scratch. So I want to take this opportunity to demonstrate the whole process starting from data preparation till visualization. Now this video is going to be pretty long, so I have broken this into two parts. The part 1 is going to be data preparation and the part 2 will be data visualization. I am going to do this first part as data preparation. Now since the GDP data is going to be available pretty soon, I have taken the opportunity to demonstrate that how the GDP raw data, which is presented in the website of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, can be converted into a form which can be very easily visualized. So that's the whole purpose of this video. For this, I'm going to use Python and I'm going to show you that how the data can be aggregated, the raw data can be aggregated, and how it can be processed so that you can finally use that in the visualization tool. Now friends, GDP data is available in this particular website and it will be in this particular form. I'm just basically opened up one of the PDF files to show you how the data looks. Now this file could have been automated for extraction, but what I found is that we don't have enough data and it's not worth the effort. So I have extracted this data manually. It takes some time, it takes me half an hour to extract, but it is once in a quarter, so I don't mind. So after having aggregated the data manually, this looks like this. I'm going to show you how it looks. This is the Excel sheet where I am aggregating this data. Now this data is available from the beginning of the series, which is 2011 to 2012, right? Quarter by quarter. And the latest quarter is available, the data is available from 30th June 2023. So this sheet has got four different blocks. So one block is GDP constant, another is GDP current, another we have GDP constant and a GVA constant, and then GVA current. So you know all about this, so I don't want to tell you because this is not a macroeconomics class. So I don't want to start describing these terminologies. So let's assume that you are aware of this terminologies. So this table is there, right? So I'll just take it out of this window and I'm going to go straight to the Python program. So how do I process it? Now friends, look at this particular program. This program is having the objective of processing this data and convert it into a form which can be visualized. So let's start for the first block. Now in the first block, what I am doing is I am basically importing the libraries. What libraries I need? I need the OS library, I need the pandas library, and I need the datetime library. And I'll tell you why I need these libraries. And then I have to change the directory. So I have to go to the particular directory folder where I want the information to be stored, and it's pretty important, otherwise your data is going to get cluttered and you will not be able to manage the information. So what I have done is that I have basically used the OS library to do a change directory. So many of you might be wondering that how I am going to easily get this path, because this path is very sometimes becomes very long, right, and very difficult to type in physically. So what you need to do is that you can go here, and let's say if you go directly to the folder where you want the files to be located, like I have this particular folder where I want the files to be stored. So then you basically do a right click, and then in Mac you press option and then you copy this particular path, right? So enter, and then after going here you simply go here and you do a paste. You see that the whole thing is going to, let me just remove this and I'll show it to you. Control V. See, the whole thing has come. So this is how you can basically paste and make a change of directory. Once you have made the change of directory, then you have to read the file. So the file is named here. So this is a file which I showed you here. The earlier sheet which I was showing you, it is basically here. This is the file, right? I have to read the file. So what I'm doing is, let me just, So I'm reading this file. So I'll just run this cell, shift, then enter. So after having done that, I am going to create another this, and then I am going to show what the data frame looks like. So you look at this data frame. This data frame looks very complex, right? So you have got, this is not in a structure. When you are processing and visualizing data, you should not be having a data in this particular structure. The reason is that then you have to do pivot. In Tableau, you have to do pivot. Now, every time a new particular column is added, that the pivot has to be redone, because it is not going to get extracted and it is not going to become automatic. So please don't have this data in this particular format and feed it into Tableau in this format, because it will become extremely difficult for you to manage. So you have to convert these columns into all these columns into one single column, with date in one column and the values in other column. And let me show you how you can do it very easily. So let's go again to this particular. Let me just remove this from the processing, so as to basically manage. So clear cell output. So this will go, and then I'll delete this also. And then what I have to do is that I have to convert those values which are in crores into lakh crores, because if I have to use crores, then my visualization will become very clumsy. So I have to convert into lakh crores. Now, in order to do lakh crores, I have to first convert the type and the description column into index. The reason is that if I don't convert the type and the description columns into index, then I will not be able to divide this by 1 lakh, because then the Tableau is going to throw an error. It is going to say I can't divide type, because every column and every cell is going to get divided. So you have to convert them into index. So this is a principle that you have to follow. If you are having numerical columns and which you want to process, and you do a vectorial processing of each and every column using a particular function, then remove those columns which are going to be string based and non-numerical and convert them into indexes. Then only it will become very easy for you to process this data. So first convert them into indexes. So I have done the conversion index. After having after having converted them into index, then you use this and run this particular cell. So I'm running this, and you'll see that what happens. So I'm going to show you, and you're going to create another cell, and then I say enter. You see that all these have been converted into lakh crores from the earlier, which was looking very clumsy and very bulky. So now we have lakh crores, numbers in lakh crores, which is easy to now manage. So let me just remove this cell, and then after having done that, now you can reset the index, because you no longer have to do any further processing, right, vectorially in this data frame. So I'm doing a reset index. Now this is what is going to be the output. This is how the output is going to look like. You see, the indexes have been converted into column back. Now after having done reset index, what now I have to do? My goal is to basically convert those date columns into one single column, two single column, one with the date stacked one below the other, another is the value mapped to that particular cell in a particular row. So how will you do it? You can use the Python's melt command. So let me just show you. Let me just comment this. So what is this melt command? The melt command is doing what? It is identifying those two columns which you don't want to melt, which are type and description. So you assign them to ID vars, because it is going to take a parameter ID vars. So you assign type and description which you don't want to convert into, you don't want to further process. So put them aside, and then give a name of the column where you want the dates to be stacked one below the other. Var name means var name will be date, because you have to name the column, because there is no column name which is assigned in that particular data frame which I showed you. So name it date. After that, you want to assign a name of the column where the values are going to be stacked one below the other, which is value. So once you run this, let me just run this particular cell and show it to you what happens. So let me create another cell, and I have named this as df GDP, and I say V, and you see how. So now you see that clumsy data frame, now it has become very elegant. So you have type as one of the column, description has another column, the date is the third column, and the values is the fourth column. So it's very nice looking data frame now, right? So one option that I have is I can straight away take this and store it as a CSV file for processing. But that is not going to be sufficient. Why? Because I need the dollar numbers also, because these are lakh crores, and I want to convert the current numbers, the GDP current and the GVA current numbers into dollars also, in order to see that how our economy is performing in dollar terms. For that, I need the dollar to USD rates. rupee to USD rates. Now from where I'm going to get the rupee to USD rate, go to the RBI website and you can get this file. So let me show you the file. I have already downloaded it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Look at this particular file. You have date and you have USD on a daily basis, almost like a daily basis or a weekly basis. So whatever values that you get, you download that data. So you read this file like this. Like what I'm doing is I'm basically naming this data frame, and this file as I have named this file as RBI USD rates CSV, and I'm reading this, right? So let me read this and I'm going to show you how it looks. I'm comment this and I'm reading this. So once I've read this file, you will see how the file looks. It's very straightforward. You have date column and you have got USD rates column, rupee to USD rates, which I have named as USD. Now friends, this is very important. One thing we have to understand is that we have to further process this data frame and add this data frame in the earlier data frame, so that I can have a combined data frame with one column of as values, the other column as the rupee to dollar rate, so that I can simply divide and convert into dollars. Otherwise it will become very complex to process. So one column, both the columns should be side by side. Now in order to do that processing, it's important to ensure that this date is in the proper date type. So I have this particular function. I'm going to copy it and run it here in this particular cell and convert this into date time. That's why you needed the date time library. So date processing is the most complex thing which I've seen in Python. So one thing which I'm following, without fail and religiously, is converting date time into dates. A dates column into date time. And it is very, very important. If you don't convert that, you're going to go haywire. So make sure that every time you have a date column, please convert that into proper date type. Okay. So I'll run this and then the conversion is done. Once the conversion is done, what I have to do is that I have to set because now I have to process the dates properly so that it can stack one after the other in the GDP data frame. Like if you see here, there is a date here and this value is there. So I want the USD rate here, right here. So mapped against this particular date. So I have to resample this date in order to ensure that these dates are available, because this particular data frame, the DS data frame, has dates which are not exactly mapped to the quarter, end of the quarter, month dates, because these dates are all haphazardly, all over the place. And it may happen that some of the rates, USD rates, may not be available end of the quarter. So you have to deal with that situation also. So how will you deal with that situation? Let me show you. So let's first do the following. That you have already converted the dates, date column to dates. Then what I have to do is that I have to convert this into index. Right? So I have to make the dates as index in that particular data frame. So let me do this. I just run this in a separate cell. So let me just remove this and comment this, and I am going to do this here and run. So I've converted this and I'm going to remove this particular command. After having done that, now the data frame looks like this. Let me go here and I'm going to show you how the data frame looks. Control V and then enter. So you see, it's already been converted into an index. Now what I have to do is I have to resample the data frame at a quarter level. Now the problem with quarter level is that some of the rates may not be available at the end of the quarter. It may be just 1 or 2 days ahead or behind the quarter. So what I have done in order to deal with the situation, I have used this particular function. I am saying that map the dates and resample it to the nearest quarter, with the nearest value available to that particular quarter date. So this particular function that you see, this command is going to convert this into nearest. So if I run this, so what I am doing is, so let me just see. So let's see how it looks. Now you will have the rates converted into quarter. Look, all the quarter values are the map to that particular quarter. So you don't have to worry now. You can simply do a mapping, direct mapping after having done this. So let me just clear this cell output so as to go to the next cell. So once having done that, you have got an option to map. Now you can map this data, means you can join these two particular data frame, the top one and the bottom one. Now the problem with joining is that you have to use the right joining method. So one way to join is using concat method, but the concat method is not going to work here because these particular dates are not unique. To use concat, you have to first convert date into index, and here also it's already indexed, and these have to be unique. Then only the concat is going to work. Therefore, what I'm doing is I'm using a different function which is join, and I'm converting these and I've used and passed a parameter which is how is left, so that this particular data frame can be added to this particular data frame, right, in a side by side. So I run this and I'll show you how it looks. So after having done that, so I have named the combined data frame as dcom. So here I go and then I just simply, I'm running it. You'll see that this particular data frame has been converted back, and you have the USD rates assigned very accurately to the quarter rates, GDP values which are declared at the end of the quarter. So after you have done this, after you have this data frame as dfcom, then you can simply save this data frame in the file, and I'm going to show you how the file looks. So here is the file. Here is the file which I have just converted back, and no, it's not this file. Let me just see. Yeah, so this is a file. So look at this file. This is the file. So you have the type, the description, the date, and the value. Okay. Oh no, sorry, this is not the file. Sorry, where is the file? Yeah, this is the file. Here is the file. Yeah, here is the file. See, date, type, description, value, and USD. So this data frame is now ready. This particular file is now ready for processing, which I am going to show you in the next video. So thank you for your patient listening, and you should watch out for my next video where I am going to do this visualization. Thank you very much.